Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, and will yet choose Israel, and set them in their own land. And the stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
So let's continue. All right. So this is John chapter 3, verse 17. Let me say it again. For Yahweh sent not his son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. Because he's gonna have mercy on Israel. He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he hath not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of Yahweh. All right, and that name is Yahushua. And every man that walks past, every man that doesn't believe in that name, men, women, and children. Every man, women, and children that don't believe on that name is condemned, man.
Isaiah chapter 13, verse 6. Yeah. 6. How ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands faint, and very man's heart shall melt.
Let me add to that. So repeat that verse again.
6.
Yeah.
How ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty.
It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty, man. Woe unto all you that desire the day of the Lord, man. Because there ain't no good ending for you. Especially Esau, Edom, in these nations, man. In these other nations. These heathens.
Therefore shall all hands be faint, and very man's heart shall melt.
Now let me put that in a proper word, how this world says it. Alright? You're going to be filled with despair. With despair. Why? Because there is no salvation for you in the coming days. All there is death. That's despair, man. Like there's no hope. Because there is no hope for you, man. You made your choice to put your hands on the children of Israel, man.
It's like, have you ever got that feeling like, let's say you're about to watch one of your siblings get hit by a car, you have like a shock in your chest. You know, just I've been there before.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
You've been terrified, man. But when you have that feeling that it's helpless, like when somebody dies and you see them on the ground, man, and if that's somebody close, and you want to save them in any sort of way, or they're dying or anything like that, you feel helpless. That's despair. Now you're feeling despair. So let me add to that, because Yahweh Yahushua, he's coming with the chariots, man, with those chariots, and like we've been mentioning since the beginning of camp, man, those so-called UFOs are chariots, man. Chariots of Yahweh Yahushua, chariots of the Most High, man. A lot of people just keep going walking past, man. A lot of people.
There was a freaking bright light behind that building, and then it just faded away.
So,
oh, there it is. One behind the building again. Sorry.
alright, so. Oh, no, I have the highlight.
I don't see anything.
So those chariots are the curse that's going to be upon the entire earth, all right? Because it's showing up. Oh, you want to get this? Listen, you know this name? Again. This meeting is something.
Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2. Thus said the Lord, learn not the ways of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven. For the heathen are dismayed at them.
But the heathens are dismayed at him. And like I said before, another one of those signs is the chariots of Yahweh Shem Yahushai, man. The so-called UFOs. And hell yeah, these heathens are dismayed at them. Because when they see it, they don't know what the hell it is. So they're gonna try to attack it or anything of the sorts, and they can't do anything about it.
So these heathen don't understand. And it's not just the chariots, so it's also the stars, the moon, all that's for us to read. That's the calendar. That's the signs of the time. And the heathen will look at it as something like an oracle. Oh, something bad's gonna happen. Oh, we gotta do something.
Yeah.
Or they'll do some little ritual so they don't upset
add their own twist to it. Like,
yeah, do some blood sacrifice so they don't upset their whoever they're trying to worship
like
up there.
like a volcano, like I added a sacrifice to the volcano or something like that.
Not to name,
Yeah. All right, so let me add to it now. Let me just start where I was before. And it says in 2 Ezra chapter 13 verse 6. Let me start at 5. And it says, and I beheld, and lo, there was gathered a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. And that man is Yahushua, man, that came out of the sea. And all the nations are gathering up. Because, what was his name? The one that says, when we put all our differences aside, we fight against the unknown enemy.
That's Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan, thank you. I had it was on the tip of my tongue. Ronald Reagan actually mentioned that, man. And I'm pretty sure these heathens will actually do it to grasp their authority on this earth, man. To keep hold of their rulership. Because what's Yahushua going to do? He's gonna take all those crowns off their head. This is why Yahushua is gonna have many crowns upon his head. Because he's gonna take the rulership away from these heathens, man. And what happens when a king conquers another kingdom? He takes the rulership over that kingdom. He takes the crown off the king's head of that kingdom. He takes it and then he puts it upon his own head to show that he's now the new king, man. And that's what Yahushua's gonna do. He's gonna take those crowns and he's gonna put it upon his own head. This is why he's gonna be that man with many crowns, man. And this is why Yahushua is gonna set many crowns upon each one of our heads, Lord willing that we're part of that number, man.
In the movies, it's sort of like Independence Day when the president in that movie, the actor playing the president, he's doing that pep talk. Put our differences aside also and all that. So I'm pretty sure Esau's going to try to do the same thing.
Yeah, he's going
to gather all these heathens together to fight with him.
And it's pre-written, man. It's pre-written, so it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Pre-written.
Who's with me?
Who's with me? We're going to stand and we're going to fight. Because this is not our home. I mean, this is not my home. This is our home.
And they're like, yeah. Oh, be sure about that.
And all of a sudden, boom, you're all dead. No, not just that. You gotta put up a back first. All right, let's see. Let's continue. And it says, Yahweh Shabbat. And it says, but I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain and flew up upon it. All right. But I would have seen the region or the place where out the hill was graven, and I could not. I have a feeling there's going to be two chariots. One that's big, just like Independence Day. This is where they need two movies. One that's big, moves all the clouds, right? But when all the chariots, all these things start gathering up, I have a feeling that chariot is going to go like, and a bigger one. I zoomed into it with camera. Just covers the sky.
More than their hearts.
More than this is why all their hands can be faint. Their hearts are gonna melt. Look at it. Like, oh, we're ready to fight, but alright. Yeah, they're just to fight. Alright. But I would have seen the region or the place where the hill was graven, and I could not, which means they could not see the end of that chariot, man. They couldn't see the top of it. They couldn't see the sides of it. No, nothing, man. All right. And it says, and after this I beheld, and lo, all they were gathered together to subdue him, and were sore afraid, yet durst to fight. So they dared to fight Yahweh Yahushua, all right? Those so-called UFOs, that Esau Edom, the so-called white man, he is no match, all right? He's no match to those chariots, man. Or the nations, no nothing, man. All you nations, your eyes are too short to box to the Most High, man. And it says, and lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came together, he neither lifted up a hand, nor held a sword, nor any instrument of war. So basically saying that giant UFO was standing in a single place, just like how it was in Superman. How all you can see the army with the tanks and the soldiers all lined up and the jets. That's a violence. That's a violence how the multitude's gonna come in, man. All right, and yeah, and it's basically saying that, and he saw the violence of the multitude that came together. He neither lifted up a hand. That means he nor held the sword, nor any instrument of war. That means he was standing in place. That chariot wasn't even moving. Just like how it was in Independence Day when it flew over the Independence of the Empire State Building. He was doing nothing at first. Yeah, and this is what happened, man. And it says, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, all right, as it was a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he sparks, and cast out sparks and tempests, and they all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with the violence on the multitude which were prepared to fight, and burn them up every one, and upon a sudden innumerable multitude, nothing was perceived but only dust and the smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. All right. So that every time I imagine that, it reminds me of Independence Day. It reminds me of Independence Day, where how that violence, you can see the violence of that beam that blasted out, that just exploded the Empire State Building, not just the Empire State Building, but also the White House, man.
It's gonna be a huge beam.
You can see. Remember how it was like? First it was just a beam of light.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
You know,
First
like,
it was a beam of light.
Yeah.
Right, and then you could just see a giant orb. Boom. And it was like boom, 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 like all the way through. And not just that, but also the White House too.
That was gone.
Yeah, I know, right? And afterward I saw the same man come down from the mountain and called unto him another peaceable multitude, which that same man's Yahweh shot, and he called upon him the elect. You know. And there came much people unto him, whereof some were glad, some were sorry, some of them were bound, and some of them brought of them that were offered. Then I was sick to great fear. I awakened and said, continues. So basically, some were happy. Finally, Yahweh shall return. All right, we're going to see the kingdom. We're happy. All right, we're going to be happy. And some were sorry because they lost some loved ones. They lost loved ones. We were supposed to drop everything, all right? But if you had a daughter or anything like that, and they end up dying, or anything of the sorts, or someone in your family that you knew for a very long time, you just watch them die. Like, hot damn! And some were bound. What does that mean? It's because they were frozen of fear. When you're bound, you're stuck in place. So you're like frozen.
Therefore shall all the hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt, and they shall be afraid. Pains and sorrow shall take a hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed They shall be amazed one at another. Their face shall be as flames. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, rule both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate.
That doesn't sound like a day of light, man.
And he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. For the stars of heaven, constellation thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. And I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease, and I will lay low the heightness of the terrible. Haughtiness.
Yeah, you Lord, man. That's why it says, woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. For what end is it for you? Alright? The day of the Lord is darkness and not light. Alright? You gotta be a man that's desiring to be righteous in that day. Because if you aren't, if you're not a man, woman, or child that's trying to be righteous or anything of the sorts, man, especially men and women, if a man or the woman is righteous or strive to be righteous, then they're going to try to make their child be righteous, man. Alright? So, in that coming day, what men or persons are to be in all holy for conversations and godliness. And, with that,
I want to
give
give
all
praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Kodash.
Once again, I want to give the double honors, pastors and elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the sincere. I came out there teaching the truth and sincerity. Shalom.